Good idea generally, if you're anywhere near the tear trough, is to have a feel that you're on top of bone before you start injecting. Every now and then I've trained someone who's got their bearings wrong and they end up pointing towards the orbit before we start. So always have a good feel of the shape of the bone, and you're imagining underneath that if I go in, I should be pretty close to the apex of the zygoma. So see how superficial that is? I didn't have to go deep. If you're plunging too deep, you've probably gone either into the cheek, or if you're really off bounds, you might have gone into the orbit. So don't inject until you feel a stable surface like this. So we're now going to do a little bit of cannula work in the tear trough. I like using cannula when the volume is very low. I don't need to put a lot in here, it's not a deep groove. I just want to elevate this tissue just a little bit. And I want to decrease the chance of bruising because we have a little bruise here already. So we'll do a pilot hole that's angled up so I can reach here. So I'm always thinking, where will I want to be the whole time, because that dictates my entry point, which it should be on this line here. I also want to be superior to the zygomatic ligament's probably over here, so I want to be superior to that. And then slide in underneath the orbicularis oculi into the souph and gently fill it just into the hypodermic fat. Quite rough entries in with cannula. If you just take your time and feel with the tip like this, you can slide in, and once you're in the hypodermic fats, then you just find the easy path, which is usually there. Remembering the angle that I made the initial hole. There we go, now I'm in. Now I can edge up, patiently finding my way. No need to push too hard, there's always, somehow always find a way. There we go. I'm now into the souph. I can feel that the cannula tip, I can see by the movement that it's now into the place where I want to be. I'm using movement as the main guide. The ripple in the skin is a great guide where the tip of the cannula is. And I've gone all the way up to the top there. I don't think there's any need to really aspirate here if you've been gentle, but I do it out of habit. And now I start to trickle in. In fact, I'm going to rotate this around so that the cannula is facing down a little bit deeper. And I'm going to start to trickle in product. Look how slowly this bevel isn't moving. It's almost imperceptible, to be honest. Very, very slow, small amounts of product. Painting it. I remembered from the consultation what she said about a little shadow here, and I can actually do this through the same entry point. I just have to cross over and head towards the mid-cheek. And I don't think this will completely get rid of it, but it will help. Because there is a muscle insertion here that's pulling on this area when you smile. This should soften it slightly. You need a product that's very forgiving in this area. Really only two I would consider: Toxtains, Redensity 2 and Volbella. So recap on the entry point. I'm aiming for the souph just inferior to the orbit. My entry point is dictated by that and where I suspect the bulk of orbicularis oculi is. So I will enter about here. Don't need to make a track all the way into the tear trough, just need to get into the hypodermis. That's as deep as you need to go. So gentle probe, looking for an easy path. This is a 27 gauge cannula, so it is quite cutting if you're rough, but if you're not rough, it's without doubt less likely to bruise and cannulate a vessel than a needle. I know there's a catchphrase of saying it's just as cutting as a needle. That's factually not true. It's many times thicker at its tip than a needle tip. So if you're gentle, it's better. There we go. Patience has paid off once again. Slid into the right spot. I can see the tip of the cannula now. All the way up where I need to go. And then we can start painting the product on very small amounts at a time. I can't really see it, the plunger moving, but I can see the filler itself appearing. And that's what I'm using as a guide to how much I'm putting in. I'm not actually watching the plunger at all, but I'm putting about the lowest amount of force possible that I can control. Very, very low pressure injection. I find it quite useful with tear trough to use the broad base of my thumb to just do a little bit of shaping massage. And then the Q-tip's very useful for more precise adjustments. There's a little flat spot that's caught my attention just there, and maybe a little bit there, so I'm just going to, this would be better with a needle on bone, so we'll make another little adjustment.